Testing, testing. Yes.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning into YouNancial's The Road to Bridging the Gap event. My name is Yisra.
And my name is Sally, and we're your moderators for today's YouTube panel. YouNancial is a financial literacy platform for students made by students. Today, we have three special guests on our panel who have one thing in common: financial literacy. These individuals will give us more insight about their journey of pursuing their passions of financial literacy.
So our first guest is Erin Papworth, and she is the CEO and founder of Nav.it, a money management and financial health application. Our second panelist will be Jed Collins. He's a former NFL player for the Saints and Cowboys teams and current founder of the Money Vehicle. Money Vehicle offers a course and a book that is tailored towards students and young professionals who want to begin their financial literacy journey. Matt Gardner is the founder and chief education officer of FinLit Tech and the author of his most recent children's book, The 4 Money Bears. FinLit Tech is an organization that aims to build a bridge between financial literacy and financial technology.
Before we welcome our guests, feel free to use the chat function to ask any questions or comments you would like us to ask these panelists. Also, please keep the comments appropriate as they are live. Depending on the time we have, we may or may not have your question being asked, but don't hesitate to contact these panelists if you want to ask your question. With that being said, please help us welcome these three great individuals.
Yay.
Yeah. Welcome.
Hey.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. Once again, thank you so much for being on our panel today. We are super excited to have you share your stories and insight with all of our audience. So let's start off with some brief introductions. And we'll go ahead and start with you, Mac.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mac Gardner. I am a certified financial planner. As mentioned earlier, I am also an author of 2 books. First one written for adults called Motivate Your Money. The second is written for kids, and the title of that one is The 4 Money Bears. I'm also the founder and chief education officer of FinLit Tech. And as mentioned earlier, our mission is to build a bridge between financial literacy and financial technology, and make some really, really neat tools to help folks better understand how their money works and how their money should be working for them.
Awesome. How about you, Erin?
Thank you. Yes, thanks for having us. This is really exciting. I'm excited to be here with these 2 wonderful gentlemen too to talk about financial literacy. So I am the CEO and founder of Nav.it. We are a financial technology that's taking behavioral science lessons from the health world and applying them to financial health and encouraging people to be more confident around their finances. So I come from a behavioral science background. Actually, I spent a long time in sub-Saharan Africa running programs that were specifically kind of at the intersection of technology and access to financial services and health. And I'm really excited to be here. Financial literacy is a passion of mine.
Wonderful. We're just as excited to have you. And last but not least, Jedediah.
Appreciate you making sure everybody knew that. No, this is a really neat opportunity, and I, as Erin mentioned, humbled, honored to be here. I also love 2 young female students who see the world, see the day and age, and say, "Hey, money is going to be a part of our lives. It is something that we need to begin to control and understand better." And so, my background being in the National Football League, and we'll dive in a little bit more to that, I got inundated with money at a very fast pace. You get those paychecks each week, and they're big, and it is overwhelming. It is scary when you don't know what to do with it. And so I set out on a personal journey to not end up a statistic, and it turned into a passion to empower others. So Money Vehicle today is the first 10 questions on a financial journey, written by a certified financial planner, myself giving a holistic view. I felt so much of financial literacy was focused on investments. While we do cover investments, there's so much more to the journey that you can control even more than the almighty stock market. And so our mission is to empower people to use money. And we use that acronym understand their money, build a strategy for their money, and be efficient. USE. We want you to use money. And why we termed it money vehicle is to change the conversation around money. We want money to be a verb, not a noun. We don't want money to be the destination, but truly the vehicle and the tool that is going to empower you to achieve the lifestyle of freedom you seek for yourself. So sitting next to these two, financial literacy, financial empowerment is a buzz and hot topic at this moment. And I believe uniting forces with technology, with education, with just storytelling will be able to at least help those who want to help themselves.
Wow. Amazing introductions so far. Thank you for those introductions. Before we start getting into the more serious questions, me and Yusra would like to ask one or two fun questions before we start. Starting with Mac, what type of music do you like to listen to?
Great question. All right. So anything from Bob Marley is just wonderful for me. Originally from the Caribbean, my mom and dad are from the islands. Mom is from Haiti, dad is from Antigua. And so Bob Marley is one of those artists that I can remember vividly my dad playing when I was young, and it's just amazing how his legacy and his music still carries on to this day. So anything with Bob, I'm on board, and I probably have it playing at some point in time for my kids to hear.
Wow, that's so cool. That's so cool. How about Erin?
Okay, same question. Well, so Mac, I use One Love as a lullaby to my son, but I often make up words to it, like just as I'm going, like, let's teach this kid some lessons. It's a great beat. So I that's really a hard one because I love all forms of music. I think I work out to kind of, pop and rock, and I chill to rap. Rap was like, I was a 90s child, so it's like, I was a West Coast Tupac versus East Coast. Sorry if you guys are on the East Coast. So that is like deep in my soul of being able to rap to Tupac at parties. But so yeah, music is an important part of my life. It really fits whatever is happening in my life. I have a different genre that I appreciate.
That's really cool.
So I also enjoy many genres. Back in my sports days, football, I had to create a character and kind of a trance to go out on the field and do what I needed to do. So it was definitely a lot more hardcore rock, getting screamed at type of music to get the blood pumping. Today, I will tell you, especially I'm working from home in this little space all by myself most of the day, classical. I think classical is one of those tricks of the trade as students learn as they're studying. It is just a beautiful, stimulation of your mind. And so I've gotten really into that, though I do have two young daughters. And if you want me to sing some of the Descendants or Zombies soundtracks, I could probably bust some of that out too. So it's nice. I don't get to control the radio as much anymore.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's a good point you made about classical music. I should probably listen to more of it, maybe while I'm doing some school assignments as well.
And it's easy today with like Amazon and all the music apps. You just click and they take it away.
Yeah, definitely. And then we as students get the Spotify discount as well, so that comes in handy.
Awesome.
Our second and last fun question is, so outside of financial literacy, what do you guys like to do for fun?
I am a nature person. So I live in, I think Jedediah and I both live in the Pacific Northwest, which is an incredibly beautiful place to live. Even when it's raining, the mountains and the lakes and the water is really important. That is, aside from, classical music, decompressing me as well. Getting in nature is really important to me. Also, I have had the pleasure and the honor to get a Peloton during this COVID lockdown, which I can tell you has been a lifesaver for me in the last year of just sweating it out to really good music and watching other people suffer with me.
Well, I'll jump in. I also joined the Peloton craze and a big worker outer. A group of my neighbors and I have challenged ourselves to do 500 push-ups a week, making it 26,000 for the year. So anybody who wants to try to take on that challenge, you're only 2 weeks behind, you can still join. But it's just these little things. And as Erin knows, behavioral, having those little goals, having that mindset, it really leads. And I'm a big worker outer. I also love my ice cream, so it makes me get up and work out. But what I love about one of my hobbies is a skill that I recommend for all young professionals and students to go and attempt is journaling. I am an avid journaler. You will see around me 3 or 4 different ones at a time. It leads to somebody like Mac being able to write 2 books, myself writing books, but more, it is there you go. I love it. Exactly. It is you can, and look at that, 2 people who are running their own businesses immediately grab, and it's pen and paper, which you don't know this. If you do, walking puts your mind at a different pace. Pen and paper puts your mind at a different pace that allows you to comprehend more. So I would challenge you to journal. It is a great self-reflection. It is a great way to evaluate your goals. And here is the coolest part. You time travel. If you want to meet 18-year-old, 25-year-old Jed, if I want to meet who taught me at my father, if I want to meet him at 25, I can. And that is such an advantage and such a tool, and it will help you in public speaking. It will help you in email communication. Journal. You'll learn to love it.
I have a collection, guys and gals, of journals. Like, I kid you not. And everything that Jed is saying is so spot on, because it allows you to be able to look back and watch your own development. And I always tell people there's no such thing as a bad idea. Write it down, because it may not be the right idea at that time, but years from now, it could be like, oh, I thought about da-da-da-da-da, and you look back. So I totally 1,000% agree with both of you. For me, we have 3 kiddos, 14-year-old daughter who's in volleyball. So you ask what my extracurricular activities are. 12-year-old son who's in basketball, and a 6-year-old son who is trying to get back into soccer. So prior to those obligations, I'm a huge gardener. I love to garden. My family back in the islands has tons of land, and we're gardeners by both name as well as fun things to do. So it's good to just be outside. It's good to watch the things grow. I often will tell clients, Jed, you'll appreciate this. You can't eat tomorrow what you didn't plant yesterday. And that applies to financial tips and financial things, but it also applies just in real life, man. It's neat to be able to look back and look and see in your own yard things that you put in the ground years ago and now are bearing fruit.
Wow.
You're gonna send me strawberries when they're ripe, right?
Yeah, got some mangoes, got some sugar apples, got some tropical fruits back there too. So I'll be sure to send them off.
Perfect.
Wow. Really love to see what y'all do outside of financial literacy, actually. So we're going to go a little bit more into the serious questions relating to financial literacy. We all know that all of us are on a mission to bridging the financial literacy gap. Me, Yusra, and the audience as well are a little bit curious, but whoever can answer this question, what sparked your interest in financial literacy?
I'll jump into it. I've been blessed to have been in the financial services industry for 20 plus years. I got in early, I got in young, I got in while I was in college, and have been fortunate to see so many various aspects of personal finance, banking, lending. I was a commercial and corporate lender at some point in time. I headed up corporate retirement plans for a large organization in South Florida. I've managed, wealth management organizations. I've worn a lot of different hats. And when I started my own practice, it was just mind blowing. I've been working with people that have a lot of money, but weren't familiar with some of the relatively basic concepts. The rule of 72, time value of money, difference between term and perm insurance, just things that we take for granted in this business. And so that's really what started piquing my interest was writing my first book and trying to put a primer together of information, Mac nuggets, as I like to call, little tidbits of knowledge that I've shared and I picked up with folks, and that's really what started it. And then what took it to a different angle for me was when a client came to me and said, Mac, look, we love your first book, Motivate Your Money. It's great, wonderful, but would you be open to writing a book for kids? And so I asked, well, how young? And she said she was on the board of an organization called Jack and Jill in Houston. That's a non-for-profit organization for kids of color. And she said, well, how about elementary school? And that's really what kickstarted the 4 Money Bears and our desire to starting the financial literacy process early, like starting it at age 7, 5, where kids are a lot of times taken for granted that they don't understand these concepts, but in actuality, they do. So that's what got me started working with adults first, and then transitioning to helping kids.
Very cool.
I would say my journey began with my first paycheck in the NFL. It came, I was in Cleveland, Ohio, and it wasn't technically my first paycheck, but it was the first big paycheck from an active roster and a sizable amount of money. And I remember being in an extended stay hotel, looking at the envelope, hadn't even opened it. My girlfriend at the time was sitting next to me and looking at that money and saying, before I open this check, I know I've already spent every dime of it. And that was a really humbling moment. Now, full disclosure, I bought an engagement ring. We've been married 12 years. Wise investment, very poor financial decision, very poor financial habits. But I realized I was a spender, and nobody ever introduced me to the other facets of money management. Nobody introduced me to how wealth is created. And so it set me off on this journey of realizing there are 3 types of oars, and it depends on how long you see money. If you are a spendor, you see it on a day-to-day time frame. If you are a savor, you see it month to month, possibly even year to year, and that is a great first step. But it's not until you take that third step to become an investor when money starts to go to work for you. And so that first check woke me up to the reality. It was also tied into the same time ESPN published a documentary called Broke, where 70+% of professional athletes end up on financial hardships. I was a no-name player. I got to play for 7 years. You know, I was ranked number 1 in my position. I like to throw that. But the financial aspect, I was going to end up one of those statistics if I treated all of my paychecks like I treated that first one. And so it forced me to go to a Borders bookstore and start getting the books of gurus, Susie Orman, Robert Kiyosaki, Dave Ramsey, all of them, and start to learn and head down on this journey. So truly mine began out of fear, and it began out of frustration that as an accounting major in college, as a business degree, coming up from a father who ran his own law firm, having brothers at Harvard Law School and getting engineering masters at Berkeley, none of us knew anything about money. And so that fear and frustration really drove me to looking at it and saying, wow, there's got to be a better way. And that's where my journey began.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Mine also stemmed from fear, Jedediah, and it's a totally different narrative, but it's the same emotion, which we talk a lot about in that kind of, money and your relationship with money is not devoid of emotional reaction, right? And actually, the soft psychological relationship you have with money to us is really the key to first identify, to be aware of, and then kind of move through. So for me, I was blessed to have had a stepmother that kind of started to kind of drip the conversation into my life early. She had gone back to be a doctor and kind of the first wave of women that were allowed to be professionals and go to college. And she kind of always, she showed me a path when at the time there were very few kind of high level professional women that I could look to. There's like Margaret Thatcher and Hillary Clinton as the wife, and Oprah was a great one, but that was a different path. So she showed me that having your own career path and having your own money was a possibility. And then what I saw when I went overseas is a lack of money. And Mac, I actually worked in Haiti, in Port-au-Prince, and outside in the Artibonite Valley. Awesome. But I was mainly in West Africa, where you see people you see a situation, especially for women, where if you don't have money, you don't have access to freedom and choices. And I think, Jedediah, you said freedom earlier too. I think freedom, to me, the ability, money gives you this ability to choose the right path for you, right? You're not restricted by the fear of not having housing, or the fear of losing money that you can't afford, that you need to feed your kids, or staying in a job where it's, you're in an abusive situation, or moving to pursue your dream in LA to be, an actor, whatever. That, like, money is the tool that allows you to make these life choices that fulfill you. And so, we talk a lot about money is not the end goal. Like, your value and your worth, your self-worth is not attached to the millions of dollars in your bank account. It is just a tool to help you find your best life, to choose your own adventure, to go on the path, take the risks that inevitably life will give you, to follow your true soul purpose. So I became very passionate about learning about it, and at an early age, and avoiding debt. I think that was the first thing that I did. It was like, that was the one thing I knew I wanted to avoid debt at all costs, because that felt like such a chain. And then, I became passionate. I think seeing what that did for me in my life, and the adventures and the experiences I was able to have because of that, made me passionate about also explaining that to others, especially women.
That's really amazing. It's so wonderful hearing your different stories, and I'm glad you guys found something that you're truly passionate about, and also something that you can have an impact with the work that you're doing with. And our next question is, what would you say differentiates your work from the other financial literacy initiatives out there? Anyone can go ahead.
I don't think I've gone first yet, so I'll jump in. So Money Vehicle is a course, and for 30 years, since I was in high school, which was not 30 years ago, for 30 years, people have been asking, where is this class? Where is a course that can go into our high schools, go on to college campuses, and truly teach people about money? And to my knowledge, there's really very limited resources, very limited tools. I know Dave Ramsey has one that is relatively in that genre, but Money Vehicle is the first course, a virtual course, that stands alone because of that virtual atmosphere. For a long time, people weren't able to translate the definitions of money onto a screen through a story and through an analogy. And as you go through the Money Vehicle course, you see many characters, many analogies, many different scenes to tell you and teach you that this concept about money is not something that is overwhelming or above your pay grade. It is just something you've never been introduced to. So if we can get you familiar with the concept from another area of your life, then you can really identify it through money. So I think one of the things that we are differentiating on is our storytelling, is the virtual. So it is all 5-minute videos that you get to watch with characters. And then the third one, as we are on high school campuses and college campuses, we provide a certification. I started in 2008 Googling financial literacy certification course, and I've Googled it every year for the last 12, 13 years, and nothing has ever come up. And so Money Vehicle sought out and said, we want something that can be on a resume, a job, a college application, LinkedIn, that you can say, I am financially literacy certified. And Money Vehicle provides, after the coursework, an exam that will actually give you a certification like that. So I think our biggest differentiator is that storytelling through the video format. And then the certification has been really good value for the students, as we've already had many go through and say they talked about it in college applications and job applications.
Yeah. If I could jump in, because I think our differentiation is very similar to Jed's, in that I truly believe that all we are at the end of our days is a collection of stories. Literally, that's all we are. We're just a collection of stories that we hear and we share. And the folks that are on this panel, we all are parents, we have children, and our kids will be fortunate to hear conversations about a stock, a bond, an investment, an IRA, a savings account, leverage, XYZ. 9 out of 10 children will probably not get that story. And that's why we were so passionate about the 4 Money Bears that started off as just something to help a client, to really something that can make a really big impact in the lives of young people, because the 4 Money Bears, for a lot of parents who never got any sort of financial literacy exposure or courses themselves, is a neat tool, a fun and entertaining way for a parent to introduce the concept of money to their children. And there's only 4 things you can do with money: spend it, save it, invest it, and give it away. So that's why we created Spender Bear, Saver Bear, Investor Bear, and Giver Bear, these 4 bears. And the whole idea behind the book is to show a child the sort of dichotomy of the 2 pros and cons of the functions of money. And so we go through, and the fact that they all work together, they create a budget. And so we intentionally made 2 of the bears boys and 2 of the bears girls. We intentionally made the bears all different colors, as a nod to diversity and inclusion too, because here's the other thing. There is a ton of underserved communities that, if we talked about folks that aren't getting the story, they're really not getting the story. And it has nothing to do with black or white. It's just there are different socioeconomic groups that just aren't getting these stories. And so that's, I think, what's differentiating our path that we're walking on right now, is building a tool through the book, developing an app as well, to introduce these conversations, to provide kids a sort of on-ramp to a financial discussion about money, again, in a fun and entertaining way. And interestingly enough, I've had quite a few parents come and say, "Hey, Mac, I actually got a good bit of information out of your book. Thanks for not making it too kiddie and too babyish, because there's some really good information in there." So that I think is something that's helped us, and it's resonating, and people are appreciating it.
That's amazing. And one thing that just as a side point that I think is important to note on this for financial literacy at different socioeconomic statuses is we come from, my product is from a banking perspective. So we are a neobank, right? We provide financial services, and I'll give you my shtick. But I think what's important about your point, Mac, is that people that are in lower socioeconomic statuses in the banking system, they pay the most for money. So money's more expensive the poorer you are, because you can't access things like better APR, like better interest rates. You can't access, you get, bad different vehicles that give you fees or higher fees, or when you default or you overdraft, you don't have access to non-overdraft accounts, right? So I really am so excited about all of our work on this panel, and specifically starting early, because that cycle of poverty is reinforced by our financial system. So if you don't understand the way the financial system works, it really creates a lack of intergenerational wealth transfer. And so I'm so glad you are doing what you're doing, both Mac and Jed. So our product is specifically an app. So it's a neobank that provides mindfulness practice around money. So our kind of concept is, and to both your Jedediah and Mac's point, you got to start with where your money goes. You get money in, you get money out. That's like kind of the core of it. And we take best practices from the health and the fitness world that looks at your, biometric data. So what's in your bank accounts, and your emotional data, like what is your psychological relationship? Like once you do a really hard workout, you've done your 10,000 steps on Fitbit, how do you feel afterward? What's your recovery? Are you taking time, a moment to breathe? What's your nutrition, right? That's all kind of in the health world, they figured that out. And I'm speaking to an NFL player, so like we could talk about that maybe from his perspective. But what we haven't done is transfer that into the health world. So or in the finance world. So in the finance world, you have the same thing. You have your hard data, your biometric data, like what's your income, what are your expenses, where is the money going? And then you have the emotional triggers, like I really wanted to buy this, but 5 minutes later I felt bad about it. Or, what are my trends? If I have a 3 or 4 day, anxious mood, am I more likely to go buy something that I don't feel like I need later? Compulsive buying. So we give people a mindfulness practice. So you can kind of get on the app, you can connect your accounts, you can aggregate your account in all the same places. So you see what your kind of income expenses are, your credit cards, if you have investment accounts. And then we help you go through 2 or 3 daily activities. So one is rating your transactions. We're just launching this next month, where you literally, like a dating app, you can like and dislike your transactions, like good old Tinder swipe. And that gives you a profile over time of what are your choices that are serving you and what are the choices that don't. So that helps you kind of create a resilience mind and mindfulness practice where you're able to kind of differentiate those. And then over time, we can help you measure your financial health and get you into products that are right for you. So for example, if you are getting a lot of overdraft fees, you need to be in a product. A, you need coaching around it. You need to be nudged when you're about to overdraft. And B, you can get in products that don't have overdraft fees, right? That can kind of serve you or give you a quick line of credit and figure out how to bridge that gap that you need. So we think that our differentiation is kind of twofold. It's one, bringing that mindfulness practice, connecting the cognitive health with the financial health, and then providing you services when you need it in your financial journey.
Wow, very interesting what all three of you are doing. Despite it being different, it's all towards financial literacy. The next question I have for you, anyone can start, is what challenges did you face during your journey and how did you overcome these challenges?
Oh my. Mac, why don't you start?
Okay. I saw this question and I was really thinking about it because I try to take a very positive mindset about a lot of the things that I do. And but I think that the two challenges I think that I've had just in my career, one is I always found myself the youngest and darkest person in a room throughout my career. And a lot of times as you are asked to be a manager of money for people that are wealthy, a lot of times it's kind of like, well, what do you know about it? What does a young Black guy know about wealth management and non-qualified deferred compensation plans and all those other things? And that I was just tasked to have to do. So I think for me, the biggest challenge was just my color and my age. But one of the things that helped a lot was actually writing that first book. In fact, when I started my practice with Raymond James in Houston years ago, the first book took 4 years to write. And once you have it done, it's hard for someone to look at you once you put a book in front of them and say, hey, you want to know my thoughts on wealth management, my thoughts on financial literacy and financial planning? Read my book. They're like, oh, okay. Well, there's a bit of legitimacy that kind of pops up from there. So, in my mind, money's just a tool. That's all it is. Money doesn't care what you look like. Money doesn't care what you sound like. Money doesn't care where you're from. It's a tool. And if you can help people manage that tool and show them ways and be viewed as a person that is knowledgeable, that is competent, and that actually cares about you and you being better off in your financial life from the guidance, things just kind of work out. But that's really been my big issue, or the things challenge that I have to overtake. But it's never stopped me. I'm still going.
And you are representing something for the next generation of people coming after you. So it's very exciting.
Trying. I haven't even talked about that aspect of it yet, but yeah.
I'm happy to go. So I would resonate with that as more from, I'm a privileged white woman. No one's going to kid themselves about that. But being a female in technology as a CEO and entrepreneur in technology and in finance specifically, there are about 0.2% of us that are female founders in the fintech space. And so, yes, holding it like me and my co-founder, basically. And so part of that challenge is navigating. So Mac, while you're navigating the financial, services and advisory world, I am navigating the fundraising world and the venture capital world. And that is a very interesting world to be a part of. And there's definitely a vocabulary, there's pattern matching, there people are, and to be fair, like people are taking big risks with a lot of money. And what has historically worked for, they're scared of that risk. So what has historically worked for them in previous generations, they pattern match and they want to see, and have the right vocabulary and see what they know has been successful previously. But what's difficult about that is that just stagnates innovation, right? And there is a wave of us now of female entrepreneurs, people of color, Black women have a harder time than I do. So credit to everyone doing this, that are bringing these new and innovative thought processes that come from a different perspective, right? You're not going to get, in the last 10 years, you wouldn't have gotten from a financial service perspective this conversation about cognitive health, right? I come from a health background. I'm a woman. I'm having a different conversation. So I'm bringing real innovation, but because people can't pattern match, it's just, my credibility and the amount I have to fight to get what I need to build my business is, it's no better or worse. Everyone has their journey and challenges, but I can definitely say that I am conscious that I am the only woman in the room, and I am fighting a system that has not historically included me. But sorry, I'm wearing pearls because Kamala Harris is being my president, so the world is changing. Everything's okay.
I don't know how to follow that.
I know, sorry.
No, and so this is one, I love these stories because this is the new face, the new wave, the new conversation around money is minorities, young, female. This is what the financial industry is evolving into. It is no longer stale, male, and pale. That is a quote for a lot of reasons. And I know I do not look it, but my father is Black. And what my obstacle was he grew up with no understanding of money. My mother, white, also grew up very poor, no understanding of money. So my first hurdle was just that education piece. But then I look at it and say, in the NFL, I also was dealing with this, keeping up with the Joneses. And it is extremely challenging walking through a parking lot, sitting next to a locker of somebody who is making 10, 15, $20 million and trying to compare your life or your net worth or any kind of status with them. And so looking at that, again, looking at where Erin is headed with this behavioral concepts, the mentality and mindset around money is paramount and is extremely important as we define it. And then as I was going through the NFL, again, being my position, I got cut a lot. I got cut 12 times. So the security or the standardization of what was I going to actually make as a paycheck, when was that next paycheck going to come in, really allowed me to identify and deal with failure very well. And I think as we look at money, so many people are hesitant or intimidated because of that idea of failing. And truly for me, failing with my first check, failing in my first career and continuing on has allowed me to callous my mindset and allowed me to have clarity around what does and does not work. And so one of the things I think people need to see as obstacles and as failures really are backhanded compliments and advantages, because it gives you, in the sales world, the no's give you clarity. It hurts, it stings, it's a punch in the gut, but now you know where you can and can't go. And so people need to stop fearing failure and start fearing the regret of not starting, and pushing themselves into that light.
You grow with your nose, as I've been told. You grow with your nose.
Yeah, I say failure is just a lesson. There really is no such thing as failure. You might mentally think it, but really, you're still alive. You're still moving forward. Take it as a lesson and move on.
Rejection is redirection.
Oh, we can go on forever. This is great.
Man, just get bam.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like you need to fail in life in order to really learn and grow as a person. So definitely great points there. And it's wonderful to see that you have had those challenges and were able to overcome them, or are continuing to overcome them. And that's what's most important. And so leading into our next question. So what kind of impact are you each trying to have with the work that you're doing? And anyone
Erin's got to go first. Erin's got to go first.
You're up.
Well, I think we're all probably doing, what's beautiful about this panel is that we all come from different angles towards the same goal, right? Where we're trying, I specifically, our mission is to eliminate the fear of finances. because I think, and once again, that goes to behavioral science. I think fear is such a stagnator, and back to your point about failure, right? It's such a stagnator, and also it avoids, you just are unable to truly engage in your own path. If you're always fearful of either money, or fearful of taking a risk, or fearful that you don't know enough, all of that is just, what it does, it limits your ability to truly expand your worldview and your ability to, and your freedom. So yeah, my mission is 2 million people on our platform that feel confident about their finances.
Our mission and our whole impact goal is sort of twofold. One, we definitely want to have more people, young people, starting to have conversations about money management and having that introduction of that conversation early, so that they can make healthy financial habits down the road, and can utilize the full ramp of runway of life that they have to be able to, spend cautiously, save diligently, invest wisely, and give generously, are the goals that we talk about in the book. So that's path one. The other path, though, talks to, Erin, your point about our industry, and Jed, our industry is, I think less than 25% of certified financial planners are women, less than 4% are men and women of color. And what I would love to be able to see, a little side note here, I serve on the board of the University of South Florida's Personal Financial Planning degree program. And, I want to see more people of color, more diversity and inclusion in the financial services industry. And the only way that we can do that is if people know that this is actually a career choice. And people realize it's a career choice when they know that it's something that they can help people do. So, we want to definitely help young people and help future generations have the conversation, help parents with young kids have the conversation, so that they can do better things with money. But we also want to make an impact in the industry itself. And so other people, backgrounds, diverse cultures, race, creed, realize, hey, you know what? People like talking to people that have a very similar story and background to help them with their money. Why not do that?
So, Mac, I get to share a success story from last week. I talked to 3 different graduates of the Money Vehicle, a young Black man, a young Asian man, and a young female. All 3 have said since the course, they are looking into and pursuing the CFP. So I look at it and I say, this is just the beginning of a conversation, but more it's an introduction into this foreign land, this thing that even myself, when I started hearing about money, I was like, okay, so the only career is to be an investment guy.
Banker,
that's all there is. So the Money Vehicle mission is to empower 1 million people to use money. We went through the USE acronym, and what I really want to call out is how we're going to track that. Our North Star is 1 million Roth accounts. And so as you go through the course, there are 10 chapters, 10 questions, 10 actions on your to begin your financial journey. The 10th chapter is around the difference between brokerage, 401k, and Roth accounts. And I believe if we can have young professionals open a Roth IRA or a Roth 401k, that will show us that they understood why they built that strategy and they were being efficient in their tax strategy, and that will empower them. So if we can open 1 million, obviously we want to have 1 million people certified, but beyond that, I don't want to just have a degree. I don't want a piece of paper. We want change. We want impact, and that is going to go through action. So we've already started to track and measure. And again, it's really having that idea of what is the one thing. Everybody, we can talk forever. What is that thing we want you to go do tomorrow? There are a lot of them, but right now our North Star is that Roth investment account.
It's awesome.
Really love the different impacts that all 3 of you are trying to make, and hopefully those impacts will last for a really long time. But we have one more question. Sorry about the construction. We have one more question before we take questions from the audience. What new projects are you thinking of taking on in the future?
I'll jump in. It's pretty quick. We have had a lot of really good feedback. We've got a bunch of 5-star reviews on the book on Amazon. We've got advisors across the country that are utilizing the For Money Bears book to give to their clients with young kids. But the one feedback that we continually get is there an app? Is there an app? Is there an app? Is there some sort of digital interface to allow, children are learning differently now, to allow us to scale this platform and present it to schools, direct to consumer or for financial institutions. So a few years ago, we were really fortunate to get connected with eMoney. eMoney Advisors out there is one of the leading fintech organizations when it comes to planning, and really passionate about helping people talk about money. And so they have been awesome partners. They actually helped us sponsor our inaugural FinTech Bullpen Challenge to develop an app, the baseline for an app, based upon the For Money Bears book. And so that's what we're working on now, is to get an MVP out there, to be able to share the story of the For Money Bears, some sort of gamification platform to get it out to more people.
Can you describe MVP? I don't think that is what most people think it is.
You're in the tech space.
Oh yeah, the most viable product.
Yeah, a most viable product.
So just the basic you need to get out there to the world to see if the world wants it.
Correct. So yeah, not Pat Mahomes, not that MVP.
I don't think people knew what that one was.
Thanks. Yeah. So we're that's what we're working on right now. Really fun things in store for 2021, and we're just going to continue the journey. As I like to say, the journey continues.
Very cool. We all have children, so send it to, the panelists. You young kids don't, but the panelists have children, so send it to us when you're ready.
Will do. Beta test.
Yeah. Jedediah, go ahead.
Alrighty. So first off, my excitement about 2021 is having the course implementing on campuses, high school, college campuses across the country. Tomorrow, so 24 hours from now, we announce one of our first national partnerships with the Tau Kappa Epsilon fraternity. So if you're on a college campus and have a TEAC fraternity, they will be getting the course live tomorrow, and they have about 10,000 members. So we are excited about that. Obviously, with the dozens of schools we are approaching and are on, we're going to have to service a lot of those. But if anybody knows me, I'm an idea guy, and so I'm already building, and we are in the midst of level 2, which if you look at level 1 is the first 10 questions of a financial journey. Level 2 will be questions 11 through 20, and really just identifying from our wealth management background, how can we begin to help people in mass set up these financial plans? What are the questions? What are the actions to go and take? And so the big project is going to be level 2 of Money Vehicle. And then I get to enter a little bit of Erin's world. Another passion of mine is around mindset and behavior. And looking at my football days, I have a series of curriculum called Rookie to Veteran, really identifying the mindset and the growth. And those behaviors I get to kind of categorize and translate into the money atmosphere and the money world. So the Rookie to Veteran book is in rough draft format, but both level 2 and Rookie to Veteran, the books and courses, will be coming out hopefully by the end of 2021, and seeing the success of level 1, be able to just pick up and gain that traction with that.
It's amazing. All these things are so perfectly aligned. Yes, would you like me to answer it? You were just out. Would you have another question?
Oh yeah, you could just go ahead.
So from this is 2021 is a big year for us. We're launching our subscription model. So we're really patterning our next kind of phase of growth after these digital health apps. So if you think of Headspace, you have a subscription, they give you tailored content, you set up your kind of goals with Headspace, and that is adapted to you. Noom is another one that we reference a lot, and is targeting probably an older demographic than yours, but is looking at, how do you sustain healthy living. It's like it's weight loss, but it's really looking at how do you set up goals of feeling good in your body, or feeling good in your clothes, and how do you make micro actions each day to achieve that. So we're taking the same kind of model, and we're making these daily actionable items for you, tailored to your goals on money. Do you want to be more confident in your money? Do you want to save? You don't need to, people say, okay, I want to buy a house. Well, that's an incredibly scary and massive goal, right? Okay, you need, depending on your market, you need thousands of dollars, to do that. How do you start with, okay, I want to buy a house, but how do I manage that on a daily basis? How do I start with kind of that micro level action that builds towards a bigger goal, and feel and get wins in there? I think it's interesting, Jed, that you're going down that path with your world, because part of behavior change is really honoring your wins and having rewards on these little things, and seeing how micro activity consolidate to the larger whole. So maybe it's just 1 month of just transactional management, categorizing your transactions, and that starts to make you feel more confident, and where your money's going. Then the next month is more, okay, now that I know where my money's going, where can I save off the top of the things that don't serve me anymore? And that's month 2. This is a long game, but these micro actions build up and they make you feel better. So our subscription is all about that kind of micro coaching. It has a human coaching element. You can talk to a human coach through text. There is also a community element, because we're all in this together. We're all figuring this out. I don't have all the answers either, but talking to people about it, and seeing, and Mac, to your point, seeing other people like you, or people kind of in your same situation, talking about money, other college students talking to each other about where you're buying your groceries, or how you get around campus. It helps people learn, and that we consider that peer education. So there's a community aspect to it too. And we'll roll that out in the next 4 months. It's big time.
Awesome. A lot of exciting things to look forward to. So now we'll turn it on to the audience to ask questions. While people go ahead and post their questions, I'll go ahead and ask you guys the question that we got from Nasrin on Instagram. And that question is, how do you guys keep on top of your finances?
I use Nav.it. Yeah. Self-promotion at its best. Yeah. I do. I use a Nav.it. That is true. Half the time you think you build these things for yourself, right? Like, I wanted a place where I could see all my finances in one. But also I have kind of micro and macro goals. So, right, I have my kind of quarterly goals, and then I have kind of my wealth management, wealth generation goals that I check in with probably every 6 months or yearly. These two are the financial planners, though, so they should answer that.
I have a wife that is an Excel whiz.
Yes.
I'll be very, very honest. She keeps track of all that stuff, at least within the home. From as a CFP, putting that hat on, in my first book, I talk about the 5 steps to financial success. One, you got to have a plan. You need to have some sort of plan in place to whatever you're trying to accomplish or achieve. Buying a home, to Erin's point, vacation, whatever that goal is, have a plan. Spend cautiously, being aware of every dollar that comes in and how it goes out. Save diligently. I'm a big fan of books. I think one of the really neat books that's out there is called The Richest Man in Babylon. If you're out there, pick it up, read it. He talks about saving 10% of every dollar you've ever earned, and over time how that can help you and build wealth. Invest wisely. That's when you lean on a person like Jed or myself, or an advisor or CFP. The investing aspect of it is a lot more complex, but if you want to Jed, your point, the investor, if you want to grow your wealth and you want to have that generational tool to grow your money, that's definitely something you want to do. And then giving generously, just being aware that there are folks out there that may not be in as good a place as you are financially, and they're great organizations that can help with that purpose as well. So follow those 5 steps to financial success, and before you know it, you're doing all right. You're doing pretty good.
So I am not an Excel whiz by a long shot. Some skills I could pick up, but I look at it and I believe in automation. So in the Money Vehicle course, we walk through a cash management system called the 5 money buckets. Mac has his bears. We have our buckets. It's whatever works for you, but we identify it as society, which is taxes, past, which is anything due before the first of the month, present, which is your daily, saving, investing, which is your future choice, and then compassion, which is, anything spent outside of yourself. And so what we do to manage that, and I usually use about a $50,000 income as an example, is you reorganize it. Mac just mentioned paying your future self 10%. We say, I made $1, I saved a dime. So we put 10% into future you first, about a quarter into society. And people say, well, I'm not going to pay 25% of my income in taxes. Well, income tax is one. You also have sales tax. You also have a lot of little things that add up. So putting a quarter into there is an estimate, one that you can reduce and you can personalize. Then you look at the past choices, and this is oftentimes the easiest for any young person to identify. And I will warn you, you are getting subscribed to death. Like, if people do not realize what they are signing up for anymore, and they really need to just look at their credit statements and really review what is the money that before the month even kicks off, before February starts, what money is already being spent? That's debt, that's rent, that's bills, that's subscriptions. Just quickly look at that and find a ballpark. Then you can figure out what you can use on a month-to-month basis of how much you are spending on a daily. That's your present day choice. And then 1%, I always say, give me a penny for your thoughts. 1% goes to that compassion. That could be buying your friend a birthday present. It could be donating to a charity. But what I love to point out is in this sequence, society, past, present, future, and compassion, science is showing us that this compassion choice, this one outside of ourselves and for others, is leading to our most fulfilling and our most form of success and happiness. So we use that cash management. We give you the percentages, and then you get to automate or personalize however you want. But automation is king there. I don't have to make these choices anymore because when my checks come in, they're already sliced and diced that way.
Yeah. And you can use aggregators like ours to see that. So one of our features is that we show you all the bills you have this month, like reoccurring bills, right, in a calendar form. So you can see, what you're spending on, because often that's really hard to dig through either your credit cards or your, bank account to find. So there are tools out there, and Nav.it, those are kind of the things that we're looking at. We won't necessarily tell you this plan, but we'll help you. We'll see the data and aggregate the data in one place so you can make your own choices as you move forward.
Yeah, really love those tips. I definitely need to use those, especially since I have to keep on top of my finances as well. We do have a question from the audience from Jessica. She said, love the high school certification idea. Need more programs like this in schools, even younger than high school. And this question is for Jed. Is your program free or for a fee for schools/teachers?
So we license the course to schools at a very reasonable price. And we definitely work with schools right now through the COVID-19 corona crisis. I would welcome the opportunity to share it onto Jessica's campus. I will give Jessica a free, entry into the course. One, because I love young people who are proactive, and two, feedback is amazing. And I believe any certificate, earner is going to also become a spokesperson for us. So yes, we are being able to have a 12-week high school curriculum with quizzes, assignments, the exam, everything involved, and a facilitation guide to go step by step through it. So any way I can connect with you, my Instagram or TikTok is Fullback of Finance. Shoot me a message and we could definitely get you set up.
But so, Jed, just so I understand, it's the campus or the university that pays, not the student.
Yes. Well, we do have one-off students going through the course. Right now it's at $99. I'm being forced to increase that price because campuses are charging more. But if you are at a high school who licenses it, yes, it is free to the students. And typically we find some boosters or sponsors to help high schools be able to purchase the course as well. But because it's scalable and it's virtual and it's on demand, we don't have to charge a lot. And that's been really, really essential.
Yeah, that's
Great
really
question.
great. So we have one more question coming from Dorian. And he says, what advice would you give people interested in shifting careers into financial services?
Oh.
You're needed.
Yes.
So there are 10,000 people turning 65 a day for the next 20 years. They are called baby boomers. The last check, and Jed, you may have your finger on the pulse of this, but I think the average certified financial planner, the average age is like 57 or something along those lines. So the industry needs more young people. What I think is really cool is that there are a lot more universities now that are developing PFP, personal financial planning degree programs in response to the industry need. Now, I am a certified financial planner. I'm going to be a bit biased. Do you need to be a CFP to get into this industry? No, you don't. There are lots of different ways to get into this industry: insurance, wirehouse, bank, a lot of different ways, independence to get into it, RIA, you name it. But if you're interested in it, find someone who is a CFP. You can actually go to letsmakeaplan.org. I think it's org, to find CFPs in your local area, put in your zip code and literally interview them. Or if you know someone who happens to be a financial advisor that works for, a Morgan Stanley or UBS, or Edward Jones, or what have you, literally pick up a phone and let them know, hey, I'm interested in learning more about the industry, about the business. Give me some insight, give me a half an hour of your time, and they will be more than willing to sit with you and share their journey and share their thoughts with you. So that would be my 2 cents.
Yeah, and I would say from a fintech, a financial technology perspective, I would say technology needs you too. And I really see in the next 20 years, there's going to be a crossover. Right now, what our wonderful CFPs on this panel do is very manual and it's one-on-one, but I think there are going to be use cases where technology starts to support financial planning in really important ways in the future. And the more people know about finances, the more you can make better financial technologies and disrupt the industry, because there's a lot of bloat, and from a banking perspective, there's a lot of misalignment with business incentives and the consumer financial health incentives. So the more we get into it and think about new ways of doing this, the better. So you're welcome. Come on over.
I would add 2 quick things would be, if I was looking to become an advisor today, really identify psychology, what Erin is talking about, what Mac knows. You need to know the information just as much as you need to know the communication with the person. And the second one, if I was starting out in this industry, it would be in content creation. Every financial place in the world right now needs a young person to begin to show them what social media is about and to be able to portray it through that content adage. You look at something like TikTok that I joined a few months ago and seen the followers grow tremendously, is because this is where we will consume. You don't write a blog anymore. You find people on the platform that they are on, and you have to create content to do that.
Yeah.
One last thing I'll say is, and I may have mentioned it earlier, but technology in our industry is not going anywhere at all. And so if you are a young person, there's tons of tech and app out there that helps you bank and borrow money and do all that stuff. There really isn't a lot out there that helps to teach you what to do with your money. So if you're out there and you're looking to get into this business, to Jed's point and to Erin's point, make your mark as a go-to person that has the knowledge and really wants to help educate people about their money. Because at the end of the day, really all we are counselors, Jed. I mean, if you think about it, we're sitting down with people and they're laying down on the sofa and they're sharing their financial thoughts and their concerns and all that. And we just happen to be armed with knowledge of how to utilize these financial tools to get people along their financial life journey to whatever path and whatever goal they're trying to accomplish. So being able to talk to people and understand, it's an adage out there that says people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. you got to be able to sit down and understand and really want to help people to be successful in this business, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, that's all the time we have for the panel today. Thank you so much for answering our questions and also answering the audience's questions as well, and being willing to share your stories. Where can they find you on social media or even on LinkedIn if they want to connect with you? Anyone?
Yes. So Nav.it is, you can find us on all the socials, including TikTok. We just launched a TikTok. So to your point, Jed. Yes, it's actually really fun. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, money is ridiculous. You can make fun of it in videos and, you know, do a lot with it. So we're at Let's, L-E-T-S, Nav.it, N-A-V-I-T. And then you can find me personally at Erin Papworth on Instagram. I'm usually on Instagram and Twitter.
For me, at 4MoneyBears on Instagram and also on LinkedIn, you will find information, and you can go to our www.the4moneybears.com, and you can find us on, like, everything on Amazon. And you can also find my other book too, Motivate Your Money, on Amazon as well. And we've got other cool things that are going to be coming up under our FinLit Tech brand as well.
So as I mentioned, TikTok, fullback of finance, definitely. I mean, to go from 0 to 80 some odd thousand in 3 months has been really strange, but looking to grow that community as much because they are very much engaged and interested. I also do live kind of sessions on there. LinkedIn, obviously, my name, Jed Collins. And if you are interested in the course, email me, Jed.Collins@gmail, or yourmoneyvehicle.com will take you straight there. The certification and the introduction into this world and this industry is really being utilized right now from, I would say, about 16 to 24-year-olds for the Money Vehicle course. That's really who we're targeting. But if you know a high school or a college or a club that could use this course, that is who we want to target and integrate. And so you can become an ambassador and affiliate of our movement that we have going.
I should have said, and go download Nav.it on your app store.
Yes,
it's on
you should.
iOS and
Yes,
Android.
For sure.
It's like social? Oh no, download the app, please.
Yeah. We have live people in front of us, yes.
Thank you for that. And we want to say once again, thank you so much to the audience for tuning in with us today. And again, thank you to the panelists for being here. Don't forget to follow YouNancial on Instagram, LinkedIn, and we also have a newly added TikTok too.
There you go.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, truly.
Yes, YouNancial also.
Journey continues.
We also have a new Facebook group where you connect with other people or want to learn more about financial literacy outside of our courses.
Thank you, and stay tuned for our next panel event happening later on in February. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.